Today, we're diving into a fascinating foreclosure case, a real legal thriller. It's about how a huge corporate victory could get completely flipped on its head because of just 9 words. 9 words spoken by their own lawyer in a courtroom. Let's get into it.
So, let's set the scene. For all intents and purposes, the battle for this house, it looked like it was over. The big corporation had won. On March 20th, 2025, the homeowner, a guy named Jeremy Bass, was physically removed from his property. And, in most of these cases, that's it. Story's over. But not this time. And listen, the stakes here, they are incredibly high. We're not talking about small change. We're talking about something in the neighborhood of $305,000 in home equity. I mean, that's a life-changing amount of money that just got transferred from this homeowner to the corporation. So this isn't just about a house, right? It's about a massive financial blow.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this whole thing down. We'll start with how this win suddenly looked shaky. Then we'll zoom in on that 9-word admission, the core of the whole thing. After that, we'll look at how it might just tear up the entire judgment, get around a huge legal roadblock. And finally, why this could be a really big deal for cases like this going forward.
So get this. Even though he's already been kicked out of his house, the homeowner comes back with this completely unexpected challenge. And he's not waving around some new piece of evidence he just found. Nope, he focused on one tiny detail from an earlier hearing. His argument? The other side's lawyer basically shot their own case in the foot and might not have even realized it.
All right, now let's get to the main event, the absolute turning point that this whole strategy is built on. It was probably just a throwaway moment for almost everyone in that courtroom. Just another day at the office. But not for the guy whose home was literally on the line.
Okay, so this timeline really lays it all out. It starts back on December 6th, 2024. It's just a routine hearing, a motion for reconsideration, and the corporation's lawyer says something. Fast forward a few months to March 20th, 2025, and the homeowner, Jeremy Bass, is out. The case seems done. But then, after he's already been dispossessed, he files this supplemental memorandum with the Supreme Court. And what's it about? You guessed it, that one statement from months ago.
And here it is. These are the 9 words that could change everything. The lawyer for the plaintiffs, Louis Stoddart, said, "Disagreements over how we view the facts of this case." It was probably meant to be just an off-the-cuff comment, But in a courtroom, there's really no such thing as a casual remark. And that one little sentence, it became the weapon the homeowner used to attack the entire judgment.
So you're probably asking, what's the big deal? How can 9 little words be so powerful? Well, it all boils down to the really strict black and white rules for something called a summary judgment.
Okay, so first things first, let's do a quick refresher on what a summary judgment even is. Basically, it's a shortcut. It's a way for a judge to end a case without going through a whole long, expensive trial. But, and this is a big but, they can only do it if the case meets a very specific and very high bar.
And this is where it gets really interesting. In Idaho, the rule is crystal clear. It's right there in the Rule of Civil Procedure 56C. You can only get a summary judgment if there is, and I quote, "no genuine issue as to any material fact." What that means in plain English is, if you and the other side disagree on the basic facts of what happened, you can't get a summary judgment. Period. You have to go to trial.
So, the homeowner's entire argument rests on this legal concept called a judicial admission. Now, this isn't just regular evidence. Think of it like a legally binding promise. When a lawyer says something like this in court, it becomes a solid, undeniable fact for the purpose of the case. It's binding on their client, and you can't take it back.
And it's not like this is some new, untested idea. Idaho law is super clear about this. There's precedent, this Strauss v. K-Tech case, that basically says judicial admissions are formal concessions, and they are binding on the party who makes them. Once the lawyer says it, it's set in stone. It's no longer something you can argue about.
Okay, so let's put the 2 pieces together. This is the heart of it. On the one hand, to get that summary judgment, you absolutely cannot have any disputed facts. It's the #1 prerequisite. But on the other hand, you have the company's own lawyer standing up in court and admitting that there are disagreements over the facts. You see the problem? It's a direct contradiction.
Okay, but wait, there's another huge legal hurdle here. Since the homeowner is already out of the house, can't the court just say, "Hey, this is a done deal, your appeal is moot"? Basically, that it's too late. Well, he's got a really smart argument for why that's not the case.
So this whole mootness thing, it's a doctrine that courts use all the time. It basically says if the central issue is already resolved, like the house has been sold, the person's been evicted, then there's no real controversy left for the court to decide. So they just dismiss the appeal. Game over.
But here's Bass's counterpunch. He's not just saying the judge made a mistake. He's saying the whole process was broken from the start. The argument goes like this. 1. The lawyer admitted to factual disputes. 2. That admission makes a summary judgment legally invalid. And 3, and this is the key, you can't use a fundamentally flawed, invalid judgment to say an appeal is moot. It's like trying to build a house on a cracked foundation. The whole thing is illegitimate, which means his appeal has to stay alive.
So now let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture, because this isn't just about one guy and one house anymore. What the homeowner is asking for here, and what could happen if he gets it, well, it could have major implications for foreclosure cases everywhere.
And you can really see how confident he is in this argument by looking at what he's asking the court for. He's not just saying, hey, let my appeal continue. No, he's asking for the whole shebang. He wants the court to officially recognize the admission, to rule that the summary judgment was improper from the get-go, waive the bond, and then the real bombshell. He wants to be put back in possession of his home while all of this gets sorted out. That is a huge ask.
You know, this whole situation is really a powerful cautionary tale for any lawyer out there. It's just a stark reminder that in a courtroom, there is no such thing as just talking. Every single word matters. A phrase you think is casual can turn into a massive legal liability, just like that.
And really, that's the question this whole case leaves us with. In the high-stakes world of litigation, can there ever really be such a thing as a casual remark? This case seems to scream no. It shows us that in the law, words are never just words. They're either a weapon for your side or a liability waiting to explode.